Good evening. It's 5:35. This is the excuse me, committee meeting of the Community Partnerships Committee. Myself, William Rozelle, Chairman. To my left is John Schweizer. To my right is Zach Allen. We're here to provide a recommendation to Council regarding the creating a property assessed clean energy PACE program in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code, which would include legislative actions of resolution of necessity, which includes establishing the Troy Energy Special Improvement District and approving the board members, ordinance to proceed, and ordinance levying assessments. Consideration of original legislation is requested so that the petitioner, Innisfree Enterprises, LLC, can proceed without delay if the PACE program is approved. How about some details, Mr. Titterton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So PACE is a program that was created by state law. It is an economic development incentive tool. What it does is it allows a property owner who has to make physical improvements, mechanical equipment and and actually infrastructure improvements to a property which are eligible, which create energy efficiency, energy savings, to then be able to finance those and pay them back through special assessments, similar to what we do with the sidewalk program. In this case, it is a project-by-project process. It is driven by the property owner, so it's a totally voluntary assessment program. It's not one of the induced ones that we have, again, like the sidewalk program. That's why you see three pieces of legislation, three parts to the process, because it is in fact an assessment program. When the first project is applied for, is when the time that the council would create the special incentive district. And so that is kind of an additional part of this to create the boundaries. The boundaries will surround the property, the project, and then as new projects are applied for, new PACE applications are filed, then you expand the district accordingly.
Is this the first PACE program ever?
This is the first PACE, yes, we are just creating this for the first time. We are not the first ones in the state, but this is the first project for us, yes. It is a financing project, and so we are asking for emergency legislation to be able to close on that as soon as possible.
When you reference a district, so we only have one district, or can we have multiple districts throughout the city?
It's one district that you just continue to expand.
So we're looking to do this for Troy Daily News Building.
Troy Daily News Building is the first project.
What do you foresee
yes.
the district being?
Could be the entire community. There's no harm in doing that. It's just any project that's eligible and can demonstrate. You have to do an energy audit. The property owner does, and then they decide what improvements are eligible for energy savings, which makes it PACE eligible, and then they can apply, and then we change the boundaries accordingly.
And it says if we do this, it's governed by a nonprofit, right? In the cover letter is used.
Mm-hmm.
Who sets that up? And what makes that up? I mean, what nonprofit
Is going to be helping with that.
Yeah, what nonprofit does that run through? Or the board? Who? Okay, better. Who approves the board members?
Energy Special Improvement District?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's the board. Kim can come up and give you the more details, but we've been working with Bricker and Eckler to set all the mechanisms in place.
So essentially, it is the Energy Special Improvement District. It's the ESID is set up. The state requires that the board is set up, is appointed by City Council, has one member that serves at their pleasure on the board. The mayor or an appointee serves at her pleasure on the board. And then the developer, in this case, or the property owner, in this case is Mr. Twist, would serve on the board, and then 2 individuals as part of his district, which the district right now would be him. He would choose 2 of the other members of the board. So there'd be 5 members of the board that would actually incorporate, make the decisions, and do the reporting process to the state each year.
Is there any downside to making the district bigger? I know we can do it later, but would that maybe help promote or advertise this to be done multiple times, or?
Eventually, yes, but right now you have to do it with the district that's just being applied for it. So you have to start it with a petition, which is what started this process through Mr. Twist. And then once that petition's established, when the next one comes around and the board is set, then they can make the decision to expand that, which I think they would in the future. They just can't do it initially.
Okay.
John?
Yes. So these sections or areas, they don't have to be contiguous? It can be the Troy Daily News building, and then the next one could be,
Parcel by parcel?
yeah, on the other side of
Well,
town?
I think what we're saying is the initial one can only be the property. The second one, we could establish the entire community if we want to.
Is there any wisdom in doing it all at once?
We are not allowed to.
You can't. You can only do what was petitioned to start with, and then once it's formed, then you could expand it. So we have to go through this process, and then it could be expanded if another one comes through.
To expand it, we would have to have a second petition.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all done by a petition.
And there's assessments on this?
There are assessments on it.
Who gets assessed?
So the property owner would be assessed. So essentially what he's doing is he's opening his pocketbooks and then paying that on the reverse side. So in the beginning, he's making the improvements and then paying for it on the back side to free capital to make more improvements. So essentially, he's just paying for it over time on his property taxes assessed semi-annually, like any other assessment does through Miami County.
What kind of energy efficiencies would we be looking at here? Like solar panels,
He's doing quite a bit of them. A lot of
Could
it's
just be-
HVAC. There's
Yeah, it could be
New windows.
replacing windows, HVAC improvements, insulation, new roofing. There's a variety of eligible activities.
right. Could a homeowner get in on this?
That's a good question.
It's actually industrial. Well,
Yeah,
for
there-
multiple units, couldn't they?
Yeah, so there is there's a home, a residential PACE program, but I think right now we're doing the industrial program at this point.
Do you guys know how long the assessment is stretched out over?
Assessment goes through 2046, so I believe it's 25 years.
They had 25 years. Okay. It's a good deal.
I have nothing else.
Yes, please, thank you. So the board of directors, once they are formed, if another district is petitioned or area is petitioned, will they be operating under the same board?
So that would fall within the Articles of Incorporation, which would then be established if the PACE program gets approved. So I believe in your packet, you'll have the Articles of Incorporation after this is completed. So there's like multiple steps in this process. You guys are doing the first 3 steps. And then after that, there is, I wrote this down because I knew I would need it. There is the petition and plan, which has been submitted, and you guys are approving the resolution of necessity, hopefully making, a judgment call on the ordinance of proceed and ordinance levying assessments. And then there's an energy project cooperative agreement and a special assessment agreement. But those get filled out after, if council decides to implement the PACE. Those are the second step phases in that. And then once you have that, you'll have individuals in there. We'll talk about you guys approving who the board members would be, the setup, things of that nature. That would be coming.
But that board will
Do it for the entire.
monitor all of the different projects.
Whatever
There won't be a
expense comes
separate
along.
board for each project.
Right, okay. So, and to Mr. Schwazer's question, a residential program that could be instigated by someone,
We would have to, they would follow the same process. If there was a petition for that, we would have to look into that, and there was a similar process we'd have to go through.
got it. So would that be a secondary or a new board? They'd have to go through the whole process?
I would have to confer to Grant on that if that would come in the future. We'd have to do more research on the residential one. I would assume there's a way to put that in the same area with the same board, but I don't know the exact answer to that question.
Okay, and the answer to, I think it was Mr. Allen's question, this can be stretched out over, on your property taxes, a period of 25 years?
That's correct.
15 to 25.
Yeah.
Got it.
There's a setup for 25.
Got it. Okay. And this is just a way for the property owner or the person that's in this district to use their capital and, as you say, pay it on the back end so that the improvements can be made up front.
Correct, for clean and renewed energy, yes.
Got it. Is there a list of those items that fall under the purview of the clean items, clean renewable energy items and criteria?
Yeah, they have a list of those on the state's website. If you go to it, look up PACE.
Are they in the application?
Are all the guidelines in the application?
No, are the ones that they would be going,
Ye-
the applicant will be going after?
Yeah,
Are
so
they
they-
in the application?
Yeah, they've identified that through the energy audit that Mr. Titterington was talking about earlier. That's what sets that apart and identifies those.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Anybody else have a question? Audience? Mr. Twilliger?
John Twilliger, 2 questions. Is there a limitation on the number of applications an individual and/or a corporation business could ask? And is there a financial ceiling to the amount of money they could ask for?
So, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, carefully. But the application is to the property, so it stays with the property, so there'd be one assessment per property. Not aware of any kind of financial limit. There's a limit of percentage of the overall project that can be assigned PACE eligibility.
It's review time, and that was correct.
It's cute.
And there's no extra interest charge for stretching out the taxes?
The county will charge their administrative fee as part of administering the assessment. Beyond that, though, the city is not charging anything.
Okay, it sounds like something that should be promoted, in my opinion.
It will be,
Okay,
it certainly will. We wanted to get council's assent first.
thank you, we appreciate that.
So in a way, we're just the pass-through legislative thing. We get, I mean, what's the biggest advantage to us other than the economic development key to market?
It's another tool to incentivize properties to redevelop and reinvest.
Is there any cash that comes from the city on this? We don't pay for the energy,
Audit,
like solar panels or anything like that. And then we assess that back to the property owner. Where
Correct.
does that money come from? Is it just out of his pocket up front?
that's part of the borrowing that they do that then is financed through the special assessment collections. And the financing becomes attractive because the audit has shown that there will be energy savings that can then serve as, it's not collateral, but it's demonstrating the ability to repay the assessment. But no, the city, this is not a revolving loan from the city, nothing like that.
He's getting his own fund.
Yes.
He's the
Yes,
applicant's
there
getting their
are-
financing.
There are banks and financial institutions that specialize or have PACE as part of their specialty, and they're the ones that walk them through that process.
Okay.
The property owner is in the audience, or was in the audience unless he bailed. Nope, there
Oh,
he
he's
is.
there.
If you have any questions.
I have nothing further.
Anything else?
Proceed with emergency.
Let's proceed with emergency.
All right, to proceed.
All right.
Bill,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Oda, has something.
Well, wait a minute, guys, we're not proceeding yet.
So who conducts the energy audit?
The property owner has to commission that through a third party.
Okay. And then it says minimal cost to the city.
We paid for some of the legal work to set up the ESID, to get the enabling legislation together.
And do we have any idea what that costs or?
$2,500 or something like that.
Yeah, no more than $3,000.
Okay, thank you.
Now we're back to proceeding.
All right, very good.
Did Mr. Twist have a question? He was raising his hand. Did you have a question, Bill?
Oh, he's like,
Oh, pointing
he-
at
he's just a bigger target to see than she is, so. Anything else for us?
No, sir.
No.
Okay.